This week, I wanted to take a look at my GP66 Leopard from MSI, and this is the same laptop we took a look at last week, where I compared native 1440p to DLSS Ultra Performance. And basically what happens when you use DLSS Ultra Performance on a laptop like this is you become CPU limited because the GPU is only rendering at 480p and then upscaling to 1440p. So there's a lot of GPU headroom, but then that causes you to have a CPU bottleneck. The CPU in question in this unit is an 11800H. I have the 1440p screen, the 3070 laptop with 8 gigabytes of GDR6. It is a full powered 3070. And then the stock configuration had 16 gigabytes of system RAM. So the two ways that I can increase the performance of the CPU is the first one. I followed OWNorDisown's video on how to speed up your MSI laptop, and he goes into some tricks that you can do in the BIOS to basically remove the CPU power limit. So then the GPU and the CPU can both run at their full power. And if you have the thermal headroom and a good cooling solution on your laptop, this is a great way to get more performance from the CPU. The other thing that I did is I upgraded the RAM to 32 gigabytes of 3200 CL18. So this is the same frequency, but it has much tighter timings, and this will also help us improve the CPU performance in games. Now the goal of this video is to see if I can make this laptop with the RAM upgrade and the CPU limit disabled, plus using DLSS Ultra Performance, equal the performance of a desktop counterpart. So this is the desktop that I have. These are the core components that are in it. We have an 11700K, which is the most similar desktop part to our laptop's 11800H. We have 32 gigabytes of DDR4 3200. The only difference is this is CL16 instead of CL18 on the laptop. And then we have a Asus Dual RTX 3070 with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So these components are the most similar to those found in the laptop, and we're going to use DLSS Ultra Performance to see if we can make the laptop's performance equal the desktop running native 1440p. To make sure our DLSS looks as good as possible, we will be enabling DLSS 4 using the override in the NVIDIA app. If you guys want to do that, you can follow the instructions. If you just Google enabling DLSS 4 overrides in NVIDIA app, you will come to this page. I'll also include it down below. And this will allow you to get the best version of DLSS in the games that you're playing. So we're going to be doing this for all the games we're testing. And let's get into the benchmarks. First up, we have Call of Duty Warzone at 1440p with the basic preset, and the desktop is running native 1440p while the laptop is running DLSS Ultra Performance. Even with DLSS Ultra Performance, the laptop can't beat the desktop in this title. We see that the desktop is 15% better in average FPS, 22% better in 1% lows, and 26% better in 0.1% lows. Next up, we have Lords of the Fallen, 1440p high preset. And in this one, we see that the laptop ends up having 27% better average FPS, 8% better 1% lows, but the desktop has 56% better 0.1% lows. So even though we're seeing better 1% in average on the laptop, the overall consistency should still be better on the desktop version. Next up, we have Hogwarts Legacy, 1440p high preset, and this one's very neck and neck. I think the main reason for this is because this game is so CPU demanding that it doesn't really matter if we're running DLSS Ultra Performance. We're going to see pretty similar performance overall, but the increase in the 0.1% lows on the desktop version just shows that the CPU is more capable of a stable frame rate. Cyberpunk 2077 in Dogtown, we can see that the laptop running DLSS Ultra Performance is seeing 44% better average FPS, 29% better 1% lows, and 50% better 0.1% lows. Next up, we're going to get into some built-in benchmarks and take a look at the performance on these as well. So for Cyberpunk, running the built-in benchmark with the same settings, we see that we have 51% better average FPS, 15% better 1% lows, and 6% better 0.1% lows. Red Dead Redemption 2 at 1440p running the balanced preset. To get the same preset as me, I just put the slider at the exact middle, and that is the settings that I used for this benchmark. We can see that we have 11% better average FPS on the laptop running DLSS Ultra Performance, 9% better 1% lows, and 2% better 0.1% lows. Finally, Black Myth Wukong running at 1440p medium preset. It's the same as last week. This game just scales incredibly with DLSS, and we can see that we get 93% better average FPS on the laptop, 77% better 1% lows, and 47% better 0.1% lows. But let's get into the benchmark summary and see how this all shakes out. So as we can see, overall, the 0.1% lows and the 1% lows are pretty close to each other, and then the laptop ends up having significantly higher average FPS. Overall, it ends up being 22% better average FPS, 11% better 1% lows, and then 2% better 0.1% lows. But the elephant in the room is that the desktop can also run DLSS. So the next page is just going to be another benchmark summary, but we're going to do it with desktop with DLSS versus laptop with DLSS. Now we're looking at a more fair comparison. So both of these are running DLSS Ultra Performance, the same benchmark suite, and I'm just showing you the summary table so you can get a feel for what increase in performance you could see on the desktop, and then what the difference in performance between the desktop and the laptop are running DLSS Ultra Performance. So we can see that now the desktop can stretch its legs and it ends up taking the overall victory, and it ends up being 16% better in average FPS, 16% better in 1% lows, and 18% better in 0.1% lows. But I'm just so impressed with how the laptop is holding up compared to its desktop counterpart in these tests, and I really think a lot of it has to do with the video from OWNorDisown showing how you can modify settings within the BIOS. His video is linked below. I really recommend giving it a look. Even if you don't have an MSI laptop, it just really shows you the benefits of getting an MSI laptop. Their BIOSes are so customizable. You can do so many things to tweak and get more performance, to the point where even though this laptop is 4+ years old, I can still get very good CPU performance with it, which then allows me to get much higher frame rates when I use DLSS Ultra Performance. When it comes to older hardware, it's just a balancing act between trying to minimize the bottlenecks that the system's going to have. And overall, I feel like I did a pretty good job with this laptop. I'm happy with it. Obviously, we could also overclock the 11700K on the desktop version, but I just wanted to see how close I could get the performance of a laptop to a desktop, and I got within 20%. So overall, not too bad. I'm happy with the testing. I'm happy with the performance of this laptop, given how old it is. That being said, I did end up picking up a new gaming laptop. So Lenovo had a sale on their Legion 5i, and with a couple promo codes, I was able to get this for $1,439. And if you remember, the MSI laptop that I bought in 2021, I ended up spending $1,447. So they're super comparable in the price point, and I'm just wondering what type of performance we're getting almost 5 years later at the same price point. So I'm going to be testing this out over the next week. First week is just going to kind of be a general impressions. I'm just going to use the laptop. I'm not going to do a reinstall of Windows. I'm not going to try to optimize anything. And I'm just going to see what the out-of-the-box experience is for an end consumer. And then the week after that is going to be my full review of this laptop. But that's all I've got for this video. I hope the data was helpful, and I will see you next week.